personally to thank them, to appreciate them, bring them out for lunch, bring them out for dinner, and yeah.
You fill us with the goodness of your presence. Once empty, now we're found in your embrace. Oh Lord, your heart for us never changes. It beats the same.
You lift us up and free us from our burdens. Your love, it binds up every broken heart. Now hope will rise in all that you created, 'cause you are here, the God of all.
Lord, have your way. Come take your place. Let all the earth be saved. Your kingdom reigns. Now every heart will sing your praise. We'll be your hands and feet. We're called by your grace. The world will know your name. Jesus, you reign. So every heart will sing your praise.
You lift us up and free us from our burdens. Your love, it binds up every broken heart. Now hope will rise and know that you created, 'cause you are here, the God of all.
Lord, have your way. Come take your place. Let all the earth be saved. Your kingdom reigns. Now every heart will sing your praise. We'll be your hands and feet. We're called by your grace. The world will know your name. Jesus, you reign. So every heart will sing your praise.
Write your name deep in my heart. Seal my soul full of your love. Pen your peace over my fears. Etch in me.
Hey, Every Nation campus, welcome. So glad to see you here. Wherever you are, I hope that you can get up on your seat, and whatever you're doing, let's put it down first and let's praise God. Come on, clap your hands. into worship now, I would like to share a verse that comes from Psalms 13, verse 3. So I'll read it out for you. From the rising sun to the place where it sets, the name of the Lord is to be praised. So this verse, we'll sing this verse in the song later, and it means from morning when we wake to evening when it dawns, we are to praise our God. So how we praise our God is not determined by the seasons we are going through, but our praise is determined by His character, His holiness, His worthiness, how powerful He is. So no matter if we don't feel like it, but I encourage you to fix your eyes on Jesus right now, and we can believe that He is faithful to us and He will keep His promises to us. So I encourage you to keep praising Him now, because He's worthy of all our praises and He is Lord of our lives. God of Abraham, you're the God of covenant and faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven you do just what you said. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I will praise your name. Great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness, God. God, from age to age, though the earth may pass away, your word remains the same. Yeah, your history can prove there's nothing you can do. You're faithful and true. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. Sing, great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to
Yes, Lord, we thank you that indeed you're a good God, you're an awesome God, and your faithfulness is everlasting unto us. I'm just going to read for us a verse, and it comes from Lamentations. And this is what it says, Lamentations chapter 3. It says that the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies are new every morning. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness. So that comes from Lamentations 22 and 23, where I inspired that song, and just reminds us that the love that God has for you, it never ceases, it never stops. It means no matter how big, how difficult, how challenging your mistake or your life is, the love of God will never cease to pursue you. The love of God will never cease to pour out unto you. And all of us need this. All of us need to know that the mercies of God are new every morning. That gives us hope. That no matter how much we've blown it, we can be assured that the next day the Lord will continue to be faithful, to be loving unto you and me. So what a beautiful verse and beautiful song just for us to encounter God this evening. I just want to welcome you and thank you for joining us for our Every Nation Campus service. Hey, if you have any friends or cousins or family members that are students, and please go ahead and click on that share button and share it with them. Send it to their WhatsApp link. And today we're in a series called Boys versus Girls. And last week we had Neil, who is our worship director, and he was talking about biblical manhood and what makes a man. And you really enjoyed that message, and today we wanted to hear a little bit about biblical womanhood and the role and the identity as a woman in a relationship in the world. And just as a campus ministry and as a campus pastor, I'm so proud of this woman, this lady. I've known her since she was a student in the university, and I've seen her grown. You will be difficult for you to find someone more humble, someone more generous, someone more kind than our speaker today. Let's give an emoji welcome to Samantha. Come on, Sam.
Thank you, Pastor Balan. Thank you. Oh, I definitely got my humility from Pastor Balan. So if you do not know already, or if you've not encountered, talking to Pastor Balan before, he's one of the humblest people I know, and one of the most amazing men that I know and I wish to follow. So greetings from Venus. How are you guys doing? All right, so I know that you guys can comment and chat, do interact with one another, say hi to the girls, say hi to the boys, and the boys to the girls, hey sweeties. All right, let's not do that, okay? So, all right, so I'm very good to be here, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity to speak to you guys. And I thought to just introduce myself very briefly on because I've been wondering why I've been picked to preach about this session, and I think I know why. Okay, so just a brief introduction. I am one of the campus life group leaders, and I've been serving you and serving God since 2012. I come from a small hometown in Elle, and I'm currently dating the campus Batman. So I think that's why I was chosen to preach this session. If you know campus Batman, good for you. He's one of the most incredible guys I know. If you don't know him, let's try to do this. Attend our campus service or campus event and just shout, hey, Batman, and probably the first one to turn to you, that would be my boyfriend, okay? So before we start, I just thought to really surrender this session to God, and I hope to do all of you justice, and especially, I really want to thank the worship team, for ministering to us, and especially when Shannon talked about the character of God. And that's why we're here today. And if you're here, you've wondered, why were you created a guy? Why are you created as a boy? Why are you created as a girl? And we hope that we can address those questions because who you are essentially is part of God because you were created in His image. So last week, just want to honor Neil. You know, he set the bar really high by addressing the guys in the house. So as a woman, I'm very encouraged knowing that our church is committed to raise the few good men, all right? So living in the 21st century, I think you would agree with me that we probably could use a few good men and women. And so that's why I'm here today, and I hope to be addressing the women especially on tapping into your girl power. What does it mean to have girl power? And for the guys as well, you are going to want to hear this to get to know a girl's perspective on why we feel the way we feel, and when we're insecure, why are we insecure? You could probably use this for your future, partners, okay? But I do want to say this to the girls, though. I just do want to set that mindset of starting right. For the girls, if you've ever been insecure, if you've ever doubted yourself, I want you to know that you are more than you think. And it's not just me telling you this. This comes from your Creator. Okay, and if you're an unbeliever today, we welcome you as well, and we want to encourage you to open up your minds to the fact that you could be created by God. No, that is fact. So you are created by God. We are created by God. But let's get to know what are some of the general differences between guys and girls. So last week at my life group, Lift, we played this game, boys versus girls, in understanding who were more likely to do something. And from those games itself, we could already know that, guys generally would embarrass themselves more often in front of their crushes, while girls would be more likely to attend a Justin Bieber concert. One of them, biased, okay? I love him for some reason. I don't know why. Okay, so, and growing up, I'm sure you have encountered certain boy characteristics in your family. You might have a brother, a guy cousin, your dad, your grandpa, and you could have noticed certain things that made you different from just guys in general. So today, that's what we want to explore. Why are we created in God's image and yet be so different, all right? And I'm just going to read out some of the general differences, and you can find this online, and it's a whole topic altogether, and we will be barely scratching the surface about the differences between guys and girls. Scientifically, physically, physiologically, we are so different, and so many sources tell us that, right? But generally, we find that men are more interested in objects or things more than people or feelings, which is why the stereotype is that guys are not emotional and girls are more emotional in that sense, right? And whereas people find that women value more of love, communication, beauty, and relationship. And that's why you would find statistically as well, women will tend to have more friends compared to men, because women just are natural connectors and relators in general, and they pour out more easily, and they're able to understand emotionals are quicker than men, right? And to another aspect, studies found that men are more logical, analytical, and rational. But of course, I'm sure you also know, I personally know a lot of girls who are rational, analytical as well. But what we're talking here is the innate nature of the differences between men and women, right? And finally, studies found that women are more intuitive, holistic, creative, and integrative. That's where if you could put, two parents in one room and see how they handle a kid, you'll find that moms are generally more intuitive. They know what the baby's talking about. And I used to babysit, and I like to babysit, all right? And I find that, I don't understand their baby language, but when I hear it from their mom, I'm like, oh, that's why, okay? So in a way, girls are just generally wired that way. So it's important to understand the differences and accept those differences before we move into different aspects. So even in relationships as well, we are very different. I'm going to take Batman and I, for example. So we've been dating for almost a year now. We're very different people. And for those campus leaders who have served with us in the past, they would know how different we are. We used to argue in meeting rooms, and Pastor Balan would be, oh no, I don't know what to do because it's so fiery. And the only thing missing was flipping tables during those meetings and conversations. In fact, today we're still very different people. In fact, we're total opposites if we were to base on personality tests. But we've learned, and knowing each other for some time now, that complementing each other is possible. by just being two different and imperfect individuals, it is possible, right? So that's my encouragement for you as we think about the general differences and differences when you are in a relationship as well. So today, I just want to dive into, before I dive into some alarming statistics, just want to share this verse, this anchoring verse that we're talking about today. It comes from Genesis 1:27. It says, "So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them." So essentially, what we're discussing today, men and women, though we are so different, we are of God. We are just a fraction of who God is. And so I just want to shift our perspective at the end of this session, is that I want us to come to a conclusion where we can celebrate our differences between men and women and be able to work together. Okay, but let me take us through that in a bit. Okay, so basically we just want to figure out why God made us so different and what's our purpose together. We're going to look into two different segments of this preaching. We're going to look into what the world say I am. Especially for the girls, you might be able to relate with some of these statements in your personal lives. So while preparing for this preaching, I actually reached out to a few girls and I asked them a few questions about how they feel culture has shaped the perspective of women to be. And I realized that from the girls that got back to me, thank you so much. I really appreciate your sharing. I realized that the struggles are the same because of how culture has shaped women to be perceived as. Okay, so we're going to look into what they say I am, and then finally we're going to look into what God says I am. And I will leave it up to you to choose what you want to believe. But essentially, I hope you choose to believe what God says we are. Okay, so let's look at a few alarming statistics. There was this very interesting research that was done by the Gina Davis Institute to discover how women are presented or represented on media. So we are in a century where we're born in this century where everything we know is media, TV, social media. We cannot live without a screen. And subconsciously or unconsciously, we are brought up in a way that media has been feeding us different kinds of information. And as subtly as they can be, sometimes this tiny information in the things that we watch have shaped us to determine what a man should be like and what a woman should be like. So today I just want to challenge those norms, and I know that a lot of women have been doing that to speak against these different kinds of culture. So based on this research, the researcher concluded in these three things. She says that in media, women are sexualized, stereotyped, and underrepresented. I don't know how many of you are able to relate with this, but let's take a look at some statistics. First one, being sexualized in general. Being sexualized meaning people would perceive that a person's value comes from how sexualized or objectified you are. The more skin you show, the higher your value and the more likes you will get. In general, that's what sexualized mean. And in media, if we could compare the statistics of women who dress sexily on media versus guys who dress sexily on media, we'll find that even in my favorite cartoon, Little Mermaid, we see that girls are more likely to be portrayed to be more sexy for almost 4 times versus men. But of course, if you watch Little Mermaid and if you watch any of the Disney cartoons, don't worry about it, right? I'm just trying to highlight the fact that how media has shaped our thinking, right? And if we think about if you watch a lot of American movies, you might have noticed that in majority of times they would cast a skinny girl versus a bigger sized girl on screen versus when they cast a more bigger sized man. And the statistics is almost 4 times as much as well. So in general, what I'm trying to say is that girls are more sexualized compared to men on media. And when you're younger, if you watch a lot of TV and a lot of cartoon, and today, if you're putting that expectation on yourself, I want you to rethink that. Is that really who you are? Or is that what the world is trying to say you should be? All right? And secondly, we want to look at the other term, being stereotyped. So from the research as well, we saw statistics saying that a lot of women are stereotyped. And these are some of the terms that comes directly from men, right? Men are gonna say, oh, women can't take this job, you're too emotional, or you cry too much. Can you really handle that when you have kids? Well, we don't hire women for this kind of positions. So generally, women are stereotyped to be the weaker link in the society. They're stereotyped to be people who cannot handle emotions there. And they think that if they can handle emotions, they would say things like, women leaders are bossy. So these kind of statements, wherever they come from, whatever their intention is, no doubt has shaped how women are perceived. And I just want to encourage you today that it's possible to break the stereotypes. And in our church itself, Every Nation Church Malaysia is a very good example of how pastors believe in women leaders, and how we can also break those stereotypes by first having confidence in ourselves. So to the girls and ladies out there, I just want you to remember that you are more than you think. Okay? And finally, the research showed that women are underrepresented. Okay? Maybe you can recall the times where high school or in university, how often would they cast a girl? How often would they select a female leader in some of your classes? So it may differ, I believe, from district to district in Malaysia. But even in my company itself, so I work in a US company, and in the Southeast Asia region, and when we look at the team of leaders, there will be 7 of the leaders who are governing the whole Southeast Asia region. And out of that 7, only 1 of them are female leaders. And this is how underrepresented ladies might be. But of course, capability-wise, that's another thing. But statistics today are true, and I know that for many of our cultures, we are working towards having diversity and inclusion. And therefore, that is why we need the ladies to rise up. And if you have issues with your confidence and your self-esteem, I just want to encourage you that these are culture-based perspectives. These are perspectives from the culture that are placed upon you. You don't have to accept that. You don't have to make that your reality, right? Because we can break these kinds of stereotypes. Okay? So these are just a fraction, and if you want to know more, you can definitely Google them. But now I just want to point us to what God says I am. Okay, we're going to be reading from a very long passage. It's one of my favorite passages because I recall when I was younger, I felt that when I read this passage, my mom really reminded me of the women of Proverbs 31. And I know that for most of you, you would have encountered women that you really admire because maybe she has, that vigor, she has that extra confidence. She's able to do so many things and still be kind and patient and wise, right? So, okay, let me read this in a dramatic sense. So it says here from Proverbs 31, verses 13 to 25, it says, "She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She addresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hand to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and she delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come." I don't know if you could relate to some of these characteristics, but I know for a fact that you would have encountered some of these women in your life. It could be your life group leader, it could be your disciplers, it could be your own mom, your sister, your teacher, and anyone else. And if those are the people that you recall, when we read about Proverbs 31, I just want you to recall what they're like. Okay, and I'm going to take us through the other half of the passage, where it says, "She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness," means she doesn't like laziness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands and let her works praise her in the gates. Wow, okay, every single time I read this, I'm just dumbfounded. And so it doesn't matter what generation of women you are, whether you're a teen, you're a campus student, you're a working adult, or you are married in our group. It doesn't matter which generation you are from, because this is exactly the kind of women that God has called us to be. But of course, Proverbs addressed a woman that is married. But even as a single, we can definitely learn a few things from her and what it's like to be a woman. So based on that long passage, I just want to encourage you to read it on your own time and reflect upon it. But today, I'm going to dissect it down further to help us see what the women of Proverbs 31 modeled and what she did not. I'm going to start with what she did not model first. This is to debunk, any misconceptions that you have about women. If you think that women are meant to be weak, that could be a perception that you already have. And therefore, I hope that by sharing about what she did not model, it will encourage you to think about it differently, okay? So we see a very hardworking woman. We see a woman that is so capable. She does several businesses in her days. We see that not only does she manage her business well, she also manages her family well. And on top of that, she honors her husband. That means her partner for life. So it's incredible what this woman was able to do. Were we able to achieve that? Well, if it's in the Bible, it must be true, right? So what it isn't from the Bible is that it did not say that if you are a woman, you have to work strictly at home with your children. So if you can see in the passage, the woman herself, not only does she take care of her household, she provides for her family, but she does businesses as well, if you could see, right? She gathers, she's very resourceful, she gathers things from the merchants, she considers a field before she buys it, and she considers the work of her hand fruitful, and she plants a vineyard. So many things that she did within her capacity, and it wasn't just within her home. So perception number one that we have to debunk is that even for the men, okay, if you have this perception of your future partner, please don't expect her to be, a stay-home person unless that's her choice, right? So that is misconception number one. Number two, the woman of Proverbs 31 did not remain silent when she had an opinion. And if you could look into the second half, right, from verse 26 onwards, it says that she opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Okay, so it says there that she opens her mouth, but it didn't stop there, right? It says with wisdom. So, like it or not, what we want to acknowledge today is that, women are pretty good communicators. And, the Bible did not expect us to remain silent. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, okay, there's a passage that was highlighted during our event yesterday, but Pastor Balaam will answer that later, okay? So the Proverbs 31 woman definitely did not remain silent when she had an opinion. But it does not mean banging empty, an empty, empty metal. Okay, but it says that the women, she voiced out with wisdom. And that's what I want to encourage us to be. When we speak, let's speak with wisdom, right? And the third perspective, the woman that was depicted in the passage was not weak and passive in her presentation. So if you can see, right, from verses, it says here in, okay, I can't count, right? But it says here in the first half of the passage, she dressed herself with strength and makes her arms strong. And last week we spoke about generally, guys are perceived to be the stronger one. They have physical strength and they are impulsive and they are the more aggressive ones. But women can be strong too, because we see from Proverbs 31, that's exactly what it is. If she wasn't strong, if she did all this, I think if I did all this, I would have been son. I don't know how many from the list I could have achieved. But let's see, okay? I'm still very young, so. Okay, so, all right, that's number 3. The woman that was portrayed was not weak and passive in her presentation. So, if you have the athletic ability and if you can do more with your physical strength, encourage you girls, don't be ashamed of it, go for it. Okay, and last one, the last perspective. The woman that was depicted in Proverbs 31 did not refrain from making her mark on the world. And I just want to pull your attention to the last few sentences. It says that, give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. And I personally relate to this, especially, being someone who is quite ambitious for my time, even in university as well. Friends who know me, I did a lot of things. But that time I was driven by my own ambitions. But today, the ambitions that I have is coupled with God's, and that makes all the differences. But what encourages me most is that God praises women when they do a good job. God commends a woman of a good job and wants to give her that praise when she does a good job. So I hope that these 4 perspectives will help you debunk some of the probably misconceptions that you have been facing because of our culture today. All right, so I'm just going to repeat that while we go to the next one. It says that if you're in Proverbs 31, we see that the woman was not strictly bound to home with her children only. She does more than that. Secondly, she does not remain silent when she has an opinion. She speaks her mind with wisdom. And thirdly, she was not weak and passive in her presentation. All right, she was strong as that was described in the passage. And finally, she did not refrain from making her mark in the world. And potentially, because she made her mark in the world, that's why her husband is honored and respected, and the husband could be proud of her in that sense. So, being single in this stage, this is something that we want to work towards, and I would just want to encourage you with that. Okay, and let's take a look now at what it is, what Proverbs 31 actually says we are. Okay, for those that the Proverbs 31 did not highlight, means that, these are some things that we could probably negotiate with God on. Okay, if you want to be a woman that makes your mark in the world, please go ahead and pursue them. Okay, and be the best version of yourself. All right, let's look at what the passage says women are. It says that she honored and respected her husband. She fed and clothed her family with the healthiest and finest she could afford. She invested the use of her skills in a personal business. She spoke wisely and kindly to others. She dressed herself attractively, and she helped the poor. And I just want to encourage you ladies to not undermine yourselves, especially, with growing up with people telling you, hey, you should be a little bit skinnier, why don't you wear a little bit more dresses, you look nice. Take that as a compliment. Take that as a way to revamp yourself. Take it as a way to be the better versions of yourself. Okay, and I know it takes work because let's take the most simplest example, fitness. To be fit, we need to exercise, we need to watch our diets. Nothing comes free in life, and therefore it does take some time and it does take some work. But don't let people's comments demotivate you from being, women that is depicted by Proverbs 31. All right? Okay, so I'm going to let you read that passage on your own time. I'm going to move on very quickly to highlight this verse from Colossians 2:16. Why is it important for us to consider and have a new perspective on who we should be as women? In Colossians 2:16 it says, therefore do not let anyone judge you by what you eat or drink, or with regard to a religious festival, a new moon celebration, or a Sabbath. Basically what this passage really means is we can break free from human rules. There are a lot of things, if you realize, I hope that the statistics on how women are presented on media could probably give you a better idea of what kind of world we were already born into. We were shaped or molded to think a certain way. But we don't have to think like that. We don't have to submit to the fact that ladies have to be sexualized. We don't have to submit to the idea that we have to be stereotyped. We have to be weak all the time. And we don't have to be underrepresented. If you put in the work And if it's fair, God will award you and God will praise you, as what we see in Proverbs 31. And, you know, in the New Testament, and when Jesus died for us, he has already paid the price. And Jesus was a fine example of how it was like to defy the culture that was made by men, that was shaped by men. So if you don't know how to break free from the cultures that we have today, you know, the best example is probably Jesus Christ. And he is my best example. And I would often ask myself, even as a woman, right? I would ask myself, what would Jesus do in this situation? And that might change my perspective. But today I really want to talk about being a kingdom woman. And probably some of you might have heard this before, and it's not uncommon to hear about women, to be women of purpose with mission, right? Let me share a personal story. I grew up in a family whereby I was the 4th generation Christian. I was brought up in a family that I was surrounded by a lot of guy cousins. My brother is a guy, and my dad's side of the family, a lot of them, I have a lot of uncles, basically. So I was born in a very masculine family. And when I was younger, I observed some things that this man did that broke my heart as a girl, you know, because I saw how women in my family were disrespected. I saw how my mom was disrespected, and it broke that trust that I had with men. And I did some things that I regret, because out of anger, I subjected, you know, I was abusive to my brother, my little brother back then. I was being unfair to him. So you can see, because of the culture that I was surrounded with, I thought all men were bad. And because of that, I hurt my brother in a way that I felt that was unfair. I realized that my brother was probably born in the same time as I am. So why should he be the wrath of the hurt that I faced because of the men before him? So these are just some of the examples of how I grew up in that generation. So for a long time, even until high school and university, I never trusted men. In fact, I grew up as a tomboy actually, and at some point I considered if I should be a lesbian, because I can't trust men, you know, they are, yeah, but now I know today that there are a few good men as well, okay? So what happened was that when I came to terms, so I met God when I was 15 years old, and when I received him into my life, and when I forgave the men in my family for all the hurts that they have done, I realized that I became free. I realized that I was capable of what Proverbs 31 says I could. I could extend kindness, I could forgive, I could move on. And that was the thing, that was the beginning of my journey to becoming a kingdom woman. And so how do we imagine a kingdom woman? I don't want to put myself as an example, but I want you to imagine this. If you're able to break free of the chains of the cultures of this world, if I'm able to experience that kind of freedom, and I'm able to reconcile myself with men again, if I'm able to forgive men again and trust them again and see the potentials in them, why not you, right? I think for me, I've just experienced a fraction of what it's like to be the Proverbs 31 woman. And if you could envision being a kingdom woman, you would probably flourish. And if you work towards that, you would flourish, and you would be very secure in your identity as a woman. That's at least that's from my experience and from what I felt. And today I am as confident as ever. I'm nowhere near Proverbs 31 woman, but I think I'm working towards that. And I understand now, when I put myself in God's shoes and how Jesus was able to accept my package, my guilt, and everything that I've done, and still love me for who I am, that sets me free. So I just want to encourage you guys to be and envision what it's like to flourish, to be secure in your identity, and not look towards the world for validation. Because who we are with ourselves now matter, because eventually if you enter a relationship, you're gonna bring that insecurity, or if you are secure, you're gonna bring that security into a relationship. And the relationship and who you are will determine how you build that relationship. So ladies, I just want to encourage you with this tagline: which I hope summarizes the importance of why we need to embrace biblical womanhood, all right? And I'm just going to read it, but I'm sure you're going to see a shorter version on the slide. All right, I think that being the best versions of ourselves helps us unlock the best versions of others. Being a single woman, if you see that your friends are struggling with some of these insecurities, probably you could help them because you are secure. And secondly, and for some of us, if you are secure in your womanhood, you could nurture a mission-minded relationship with God. And this goes without saying that if you enter a relationship and if you get married one day, you can build a stronger relationship, a relationship that is purposeful and that's more than just yourself. All right, and I'm going to finish very soon by telling you the story of Priscilla and Aquila. Pastor also mentioned them a few times in the Bible. It's a fine example, okay? They are basically tent makers, and they worked to serve the kingdom of God. And one very interesting fact is that out of the 7 times that their names were highlighted in the Bible, 5 times started with naming Priscilla over her husband Aquila. What I'm trying to say is that, girls, you could play a very important role in your relationship with your partner in the future if you choose to get married. And your relationship will be able to honor God because you are secure in your own identity and you embrace that. And finally, based on Priscilla and Aquila's story, I just want us to shift from that mindset of being competitive with guys. I want us to, instead of thinking that we need to consistently measure ourselves up to the other gender, why don't we work together? Instead of boys versus girls, why don't we just do boys plus girls versus world? There's so many beautiful possibilities that can happen if we work together. But that starts with you, girls. You have got to be secure in yourself before you can embrace working with a man versus the world. So we are not enemies. Boys and girls, though different, we are not enemies. And in fact, because we are made in the image of God, we are meant to conquer the world together in our imperfections. So with that, I just want to close to invite you to celebrate with us your identities in worship. I'm going to pass the time now to the worship team.
Come on, let's sing this new echo song called Because of Love.
With your love
Lord, we thank you. It's because of your love. You left your throne, you died for us, and you've redeemed us, Lord. You know, that song just reminds us that indeed our identity as men and women has been redeemed by Jesus, so that the standards of men or standards of women, you don't have to live according to the standards of the world. You don't have to live according to the standards of society. But God has given you a new identity in Him. And because He has given you this, therefore you are able to live it out, not on your own strength. You won't be able to become the Proverbs 31 woman, or you won't be able to become the kind of man that God has called you to be on your own strength. It is always being dependent on Jesus Christ, you know, and all these desire of God for us is so that we will become more and more dependent on Him, knowing that the standards that He has given us, the righteous standard that He has put in our heart, is only able to be achieved if we are dependent on Jesus. So, you know, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I just have one announcement just to share with you, and it's about our online Rumble. You know, we're going to close our series on boys versus girls. I really love what Samantha shared about becoming the Proverbs 31 woman, and that it's not really about boys versus girls, but it's boys and girls versus the world, that we are called when we walk in the calling that each of us, that God has given each of us. It helps the other gender flourish. If I live out my calling as a man of honor, a gentleman, a man of integrity, it allows women to also walk in security as flourish as of the Proverb 31 woman, you know, and if women flourish as God has called them to be, it allows men to flourish too. So I just have one announcement for us. You know, join us for our online Rumble. You can see the link, actually, this is on YouTube, so you can see the link there pinned by our moderator today, and it starts at 6:15, so it should be the room should be open around 6, and you guys can just go in there and have a chat and say hello to everybody. And it'll be moderated by myself. I'm Pastor Balan, and also Pastor Agape will be there as well, just to, you know, keep the rumble so that no one gets severely hurt. Okay. Not that we think anyone's going to get hurt, but, you know, at least we have a couple of moderators there just to help us. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. Remember, our campus service from now onwards will be every Saturday at 5 p.m. And we know we're looking forward to gathering together as a community soon. You know, right now we are slow. You know, the rules and the SOP are slowly opening up. You know, that's why we are allowed to have a band here today. I'm so glad to have a band here today. It feels so good to worship in at least in a small group like this. And, you know, we'll see you later. God bless you, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much.